When I first started in the police department back in the 70s, I made $22,505 a year. That was my salary. As I was working there, and I would come in every single day, and I would see people, and I knew that there was more.
If I recall, your wins came kind of quick.
Yeah, it was weak because one of the main things is to take action. I would submit a bid and they would say, yeah, well, okay, congratulations.
I'm so excited to have our next guest here. Madi, you are like an OG. You went through one of my original challenges, but more importantly, I want to hear, as everybody watching, what has your journey been like in government contracting? What do you do, and how did you even get into this space?
Wow, Dr. Kizzy, I think it's an honor and a pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me. And just to reiterate and think back, our very early classes, it's been a journey. It's really been a journey and a learning curve that you spoke about, and be totally honest. It's really been, I told you so moments. I remember sitting in the classes, and when you say, be VIP, and being in VIP, I get a chance to actually stop and listen and learn and take good notes and to just understand the whole theory behind government contracting and how it is important to pay attention and to learn. And it has been all of that. So I really do appreciate you. And thank you. Thank the team, everybody that has been, in the background, because they are so key. It wasn't just me, it's the people who you can't see that actually make this work. And thank you.
No, thank you, because you've executed. So I'd love to learn where was the mindset and the focus when you first were like, I'm going to do government contracting? You were like, I'm going to sell.
Yeah, it wasn't government contracting at all. It really wasn't. This was back in 2019, 2000, right before the whole pandemic thing took a hold. And I was doing, I was a notary. I was a mobile notary. So I used to do maybe 4 or 5 a day. It was amazing. And just show up different places and do my notarization. I became Fidelity certified, and Ron was just getting up and popping, and it was just amazing. And COVID hit, and I went from 5 closings to 0 closings. And I was like, what is going on? And then when we did start doing closings, they were so isolated and sanitized that I remember going to people's houses and putting the piece of paper to their window, their glass, and say, sign here, and I had to slide it underneath the door. And then in turn, they would slide it back to me, and I'd have to put it in an envelope. The closings still took place, but they were very sanitized. And we went from 5 to maybe 1, 2 a month. It dropped that considerable. And I realized I have to do something. And I was always the type of person I would look around to see what's moving. And I saw trucks moving. I saw trucks that were moving freights, and they were the only thing. Nobody else was working, but trucks was always moving. So I said, well, I definitely do not want to be a truck driver. I don't see myself doing it. I don't even like being a passenger and riding in cars. So, and I spent my whole career in cars, but prior to this, I was in law enforcement in New York. So I stayed in a car. So the last thing I wanted to do was get back in a car. And my son-in-law said, become a broker, and you can do it that way. So I basically shifted from being a notary, and I started to look into FMCSA, was the Federal Motor Carriers Association, to find out what does it take in order to become a broker. And basically I put my nose to the grindstone and paid my insurance, and didn't need a truck, didn't have to have a truck. But what I started to do was navigate between the suppliers and the carriers to a destination. I became the middleman, and I said, I enjoy this. This is good. And I started to develop a little rapport. And 2020, 21, 22 learning curve. And then I had some physical, challenges, and had several operations, and it kind of threw me back, but I was thanking God that I'm not the type of person, one, that gives up. Two, I'm not the type of person that does not hear of an opportunity or see an opportunity and don't move on it. And so because of that, I went ahead and started noticing that people who were not going to work did not need mascara. They did not need new shirts and new shoes. And all of a sudden, the supply chain started to slow down, and the jobs were going to the bigger logistic companies. And the smaller ones, it was like fighting tooth and nail for little contracts. And it just wasn't profitable in order to have a truck with the mileage and the fuel to actually be out there. And I stopped and I thought about it. I said, something has got to happen. And that's the reality part of it that's most people don't really understand, because you think it's all going to be glamorous and you're going to make $1 million and money's just going to be flowing in. You're not going to get tested. You're not going to have family issues. You're not going to have physical issues. Everything's going to work out fine. It doesn't work that way. But if your dream is big enough, if your vision is clear enough, you'll have to understand, now I'm out of breath, that it's a part of it. Because nothing that you get is going to come to you without you being tested, as if your resolve is really there to see it to the end. If your resolve is there, the test will come, but you'll recognize it as a way of teaching you and learning and growing, and it'll work out. So to go back to my story, once I realized that the supply chain was drying up, I looked around and I said, well, who's working? The federal government was working. Who's moving stuff? The federal government's moving stuff. I knew nothing about that. At zero. It never even crossed my mind. Even though I knew from being in law enforcement that we always had contractors that came in and did things, but it never crossed my mind how's that all come about. So yeah, I went down to YouTube, University of YouTube, and I'm clicking around, and I can kind of read people a little bit, and I can say, okay, yeah. And I was realizing that it was almost like 70-30. 30% of what they were saying was true, but 70% was hype and marketing and give me money. So I did a lot of clicking around, and a couple of people educated me as far as filling out my Sam.Gov and, the different forms, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because you can do the basic formation of things as far as filling out the forms, but the actual how to go about the thinking and to how to make that happen, there was nobody was teaching it that I could find out until I came across Dr. Parks. And I tell you, I had my whole family sitting down watching you. I had you playing like it was an R&B radio station.
Oh, I love that.
You was rocking. Everybody knew about you. Everybody knew about your curls was popping. Everybody knew. Even my grandkids would come in and would talk about, oh, Dr. Parks is on. That's all I was talking about is, government contracting. So, but yeah, I just stuck it out, and I learned. I learned a lot. I've taken the things that you've said, and like I said, I want to thank you once again. I take the things that you've said, the people that have been in your class along with me. That is where I got my biggest lesson from just talking to other people and networking with them and going out to different events. I realized that this is real, but you have to stick to it. You have to realize that it's not going to be like pixie dust, and it's just going to happen. We're in some real challenging times right now, and you have to have that resilience to say, if you really want this thing, you're going to have to stick it out.
Right. You'd have to stick it out. And if I recall, you won, your wins came kind of quick.
Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing. It wasn't a year, it wasn't 2 years, it wasn't 3 years. It was
weeks. It was weeks. Because one of the main things is to take action. When you sit inside or if you receive information about a thing, regardless of what the thing is, act on it. I have children. Okay. I have kids. and who are now adults. And I've raised them to be, do, and have. I told them, I said, that is the golden formula. You'll never find anybody being successful that says, well, when I get this, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to be that. It doesn't flow that way. You got to be it before you even see it. You got to be it, and then you got to do the things that that person would have to do sincerely. And then you will see the things that lifestyle that you're supposed to have. And it's different for everybody. It is truly different. But that's the formula. You got to be it first. And then you got to do it. And then you'll have it. So I knew that if I apply myself, hence, if you look right here, right there, it says visions realize 20K. And I had a vision, and I knew that it can happen.
Right.
When I first started in the police department back in the 70s, I made $22,505 a year. That was my salary, and I was balling at $22,505. But as I was working there, and I would come in every single day, and I would see people, and I knew that there was more. There had to be something more out here. And I used to go to Amway meetings, and I used to, go to different network marketing, and I met with Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Les Brown and all these people that I would surround myself with while I was at the police department. And I would just listen to their tape. At that time, it was cassette tapes. I would put in a cassette tape inside the car. Even when I was in patrol, I'd throw a cassette in, I would listen to it because I realized this is where I am, but it's not where I'm going. And the only reason why I'm here is so that I can take care of my family. But I can take care of my family doing anything, irrespective of making sure I'm doing it the right way. I'm not hurting anybody and any of the things like that. I could actually link into something that is going to take me to where I need to be. And so now you mentioned, how did I have those wins so quick? Those wins, they look like they were quick, but they started years ago.
Yes.
They started years ago. When it was just because it starts from inside and it flourishes. It's like you got to get dirty. It's like a seed. You stick it in the dirt. Let me correct myself. I've learned there's a difference between dirt and soil. You have to stick it in the soil because you can hang around the dirt and nothing will happen other than you get dirty. But if you put it in soil that's going to actually nurture and you can actually develop and grow into something, that's when it's magical.
Yes.
That's the magic. That's the spark. So being placed in classes and listening to you and listening to some of the other people in the class, it was good soil. It was nourishing. So it just developed. It just like sprouted. So it didn't happen fast. It happened though because I was in the right soil at the right time. Yeah.
I love that. The right soil at the right time. And what type of wins did that lead to? Because you got the background as a notary,
Yeah.
law enforcement,
Yeah. I became
middleman for trucks,
broker.
worker for trucks.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the kind of win, because people may think, oh, you won some notary contracts, you won some trucking contracts.
I did win any notary contracts. Matter of fact, that wasn't even anything I looked into because I couldn't even imagine doing that on a government level. I decided I would never ever work for anyone else again in my life, and that if I was I had never wanted to refer to someone as my boss.
Agreed.
My mind was beyond that. And then someone I remembered, I think it was either Les Brown, that says, when you don't have a dream, somebody will hire you to build their dream. And this became my thing I thought about all the time. If I'm here, I must be doing it for a reason, for a purpose. I have to be here for a reason, for a purpose. And I live my life in that lane now. So I started looking at Sam.Gov, and I started looking at Unison, and I started to look at all these different places. I said, well, I can do this, I can do that, I could do this, but I don't know enough about it. So I would find an ask from the government. Let's say it's Unison. And they said, we need transportation. We need some delegates that are from this country. They're going to come to this state, and you got to get them from this state to this place, this place, this place, and this place. They're going to need hotel rooms. They're going to need transportation. They're going to need, you could do that.
Sure.
So I just got on the phone and I just started calling, I owned it. I owned it. I was calling as a representative of my company, my brand, to these are my people and this is what I need done. And I sat up in my chair and I just spoke from that position of this is what needs to happen. Who do I need to talk to? Who needs to make this happen? And it just came together. And then before you know it, I would submit a bid and they would say, yeah, well, okay, congratulations. Here's XYZ. And I was like, well, that was it. And I don't have to drive anybody? No, I just had to make sure all that happened. And I have children, so I put my children out there. Go make sure that happens. Go make sure it happens.
I love this because I haven't interviewed many who have had their children in the execution. And so this win in particular, was it defense or was it federal?
It was federal.
So on the federal side, you get this win. And then, because who hasn't had that feeling? Like, I don't want to be in it anymore. I don't want to be making this sausage. I get it. So then you had your children who they're adults.
They're adults.
Is of 21.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were very, my oldest daughter's 46. Yeah.
Okay, stop. That's another video.
Hey.
But 46. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But you had your adult and your kids were like, okay, Dad, I'm in it. We're in it. Let's do it.
What do we need to do? After I sat down and I explained to them, I said, this is what it looks like. This is what's happening. This is the bottom line. And this is what I need you to do. And they were like, okay, we got it. And I was confident in their competency to make sure that it was executed correctly. So I just sat back and I didn't accept it because it's not about me. It's about making sure that they had an opportunity to expose themselves to something that was totally different. And I was cool with it. So I just started divvying out responsibilities to people, I have 12 kids. I have 12 sons and 5 daughters. So I was just divvying out responsibility. Everybody, you get a responsibility. Yo.
I love this. So then, okay, so you win this federal side, you're crushing it. Then did you say, I want more? Or were you like, okay, I'm good, we're great?
No. I was still you said be VIP. And I just became VIP and I started, I just kept listening. I kept listening because it was already working, but I'm looking at you and I'm like, well, if Dr. Parks has won this, and this, why is she still doing what she's doing? What keeps her tongue wet with this? What keeps her feet doing this? What is the motivation? Because it's not the one win. What is it? So for me now, it became what it was going to be best for the family overall. I took myself out of the equation. So I said, in order to do that, I have to learn. I have to learn as much as I can about this so that I could help build this thing so that no one lasts forever.
No
one lasts forever. And we all have gifts. But one thing I learned about a gift, if you don't give it away, it's not really a gift. It was given to you, but not to covet. It's a gift to give away. And I saw that in you. I saw the way you gave. I saw how vulnerable that you were. I saw and it's not in a weird sense. It's just from a transparency of genuineness. Of that sincerity, and then talking to the people in your back office and the staff. And I was like, these people generally love doing what they're doing for a purpose greater than just for the money.
Yes.
Because it's about getting money as an issue out of the way so that you can live the type of lifestyle, so that you can be healthy, so that you can do the things you want to do with the people that you want to do them with. Because when my latter years in law enforcement, I realized that I wasn't going to do it anymore. So my last 6 years, I started working in the police academy and I became an instructor. I said, because I don't want to be out there on the streets anymore. They were younger, they were faster, they were stronger. I didn't want no parts of any of that. So And so I started to talk to younger people who were coming into the academy that were transitioning from Desert Storm and all these other, different campaigns, and it was cool. It was really cool because it gave me a way of separating myself from it, and then I just transitioned. You just made a natural transition, and that's what I wanted for myself in this business because for all the years that I have spent in law enforcement, I neglected myself. I neglected my self-care. I had things I was like, ugh, but I got kids and I gotta work. So I gotta suck it up and get in there. I gotta suck it up, get in there, go to work, irrespective of you feel good or not. Irrespective if it hurts, put something on it, keep moving. So once I realized that this was something that I wasn't gonna do anymore, I became an investigator and opened up my own private investigation firm. And I took a contract working for Universal Sony in their R&B division. And this is like 2000.
Wow.
And I decided to, and so I was living in New York. So I would leave New York, fly to Atlanta, pick up my target, go to London and Paris and Africa and Asia, John Legend, Gwen Stefani, Pussycat Dolls, Black Eyed Peas, say Akon, T-Pain. So I'm in the mix. you know, don't ask, I can't sing. I cannot sing at all. If you ask me to carry a note, you better write it on a piece of paper and put it in my hand and see, oh, we'll get a note out of me. But it worked out. It worked out so well because my daughter was an artist and she knew some of the people in Universal. And then they said, "Hey, you want to come to Africa?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." And that's how it started.
Wow.
I just didn't say no. I was open to it.
Mm.
I was open to it. So now when I'm looking at government contracts, I have to be open to what I never said no to anything. And I just started learning. So I came and I took a class and then I overheard you say you had your FFL. And I said, "Oh, shoot." And I was like, I never thought about that because I have been going through through Sam and Unison, and they would talk about, well, we need XYZ types of 223s or XYZ or this type of scope and that. And I know what they're talking about, but I'm thinking, it's not clicking in my head until I heard you say that. Right time, right soil. And I just jumped in 10 toes in. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't mention it to my kids. I just started working it and going through it and going through it. And now,
Uh-oh.
let's see. I can't even see. Oh, dang, I got to turn off my background for you to see it.
Hey, we get your number on there, but he's showing his license number, which is to legally sell things,
Yeah.
to sell the pews. For
Yeah.
I understand, may not know what that means.
Yeah.
The government buys a lot of those.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. What? That's, it's one of them. They spend money. They spend a lot of money on defense. And I never really thought, it never really clicked on me. And they just don't give it away. You have to be diligent. You have to be able to, if they have an ask, you have to be able to get specific. You have to be able to have a connection. You have to have money, and you have to be able to, when they say it's got to be here by a certain time, it's got to be there by a certain time. And then I saw the movie Dogs of War, and I was like, wow, this is a real thing.
Mhm.
But it's I realized that I have very little friends out here, so I had to keep my mouth shut and just keep working and just keep doing it. And now because of it, I have this company over here that handles all of that. And I have this company over here that handles all of the other things. And I really don't do any of it anymore because in 2020, since 2020 to this present day, I've had like 9 surgeries.
Mm.
So I'm kind of like, I'm always that guy that's like, I'm out there, I'm on the front line, let's make it happen. the creator has taken me out of that and said, go sit your butt down. Sit down. You've taken care of a lot of people. Now it's time to take care of yourself. And I had to really feel it because I always wanted to go and do it. But now I'm in a position now where I just have to, I got to chill. The doctor told me I had no chill. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Listen, side story, got to tell it. I'm sitting here just like I saw the FedEx guy pull up. There used to be a tree that was right there at the front of my property. And I live on a farm, so it's 40 acres and I'm on a farm. So I could tell when somebody's pulling into my driveway. And it was just amazing. I'm looking at, there was a tree there. I had just had knee surgery. They had a total replacement of my knee. The doctor said, chill. I was looking and I'm real inquisitive. And I was like, damn, I can't see the road. So I wobbled my behind out there with this chainsaw.
No.
Yeah, I take the tree down and I was like, oh, now I can see it. Then it dawned on me, wait a minute, now that the tree's down, I got to move it because I can't leave it there. And my children, my adult children, they're in Atlanta, they're in Baltimore. Nobody's here. So I'm dragging these tree limbs and I'm throwing them on the pickup and I'm taking them to the back and I'm pushing them off. I get back inside and said, oh man, I can see the road. And I looked down and my knee was all open. No, it was open. It was like an open face sandwich.
That's even worse. That is even worse.
All the stitching had come loose.
My goodness, I'm stressed.
The doctor looked at me and he said, I thought I told you to chill. He said, we got to do this all over again. So yeah, I'm that guy.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that that's been remedied.
Yeah.
But it's led to you taking these paths. Because you could have just been like, you could have just said, hey, I don't really want to do anything else. I just want to hang out. And instead you're like, hey, you did all these things, started logistics. Well, I call it logistics because of the image, but you won the contract, you've expanded out, you now are chilling. And your adult children are running with things. It's beautiful because that's the power of federal government contracting. The person who starts it doesn't have to always be in it doing everything. That's what's beautiful about entrepreneurship. It's what you want. It's whatever you want your life to look like. It's not what somebody else's life looks like. It's what you want your life to look like. And this is a vehicle because there's thousands. You know, I looked up the other day, some say there's 4,000 different departments and agencies. I mean, maybe now because of things, it's 3,800, but there's so many out there that it's just whatever you want to do. So I'm glad that you got that remedied. I'm glad that you are kind of taking a back seat. What kind of opportunities do your children go after? Is there any agencies you're really targeting right now?
They enjoy. I have one that does nothing but real estate, commercial real estate for the federal government. She does everything in as far as the Veterans Administration, prison services. She does if they need trailers to pop up somewhere, and she takes care of all of that.
Yep.
You know, she's very, very, very into that. Very successful. I have another one. I have two of them, that actually takes care of this business here. They say, they keep me up on, Pop, this is what's hot, this is what's not. Get yourself a pink glicky and all this other stuff. I was like, yo, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? So, because, it was interesting because see, when I first got my license, the ATF guy says, he came to my house and we sitting down, we chilling, and we doing the interview, and he's like, I said, I'm only wanting to work, within the government, city, state, local. That's it. City, state, local, federal. I'm good. He was like, nah, it doesn't work that way. You gotta open it up to other people. You have to be able to do transfers. You gotta, we gotta put your name in the book so that people, if they want to transfer firearms, it has to go through you. And I was like, I don't really want to, I don't want people pulling up, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, it's a part of it, So I have one of my sons, he just handles that aspect because he enjoys people. He enjoys that. And these are the boxes I can't even show you, but I got boxes of stuff that they order for other people that just pop up.
And
It
pick it
just,
up.
yeah. And then somebody else will just come through to pick it up. And then I do all their background checks. It's really cool.
I
It's-
think, all I'll say on that is I'll say my ATF rep, he was spot on
yeah.
during our interview and when he told me what to expect. And if anybody is interested in it, as long as you don't have a felony, I say, just being very transparent. I think it's something to pursue. And there's a lot of avenues, and it was fast, right? What did it take?
Oh.
A month maybe to get it?
You know what? It's so interesting because once again, I didn't know anything about it. You know, I mean, because I was in law enforcement for so long, I always had that access, but not from that vantage. And so I just fill everything out. And the next year I know they said, well, we're going to come by and see you. And I was like, all right, my wife was making tea and all this. I don't think he's going to be here for the tea. You know, I don't think that's what it is, but then we went through page by page
Yeah.
of that book, page by page. And he asked any questions. No. Okay. Here's your number. And it was just that easy. It was just that easy. He says, who are your distributors? And I was like, I have no clue. I said, I was expecting you to tell me. He said, well, where do you plan on getting this stuff from? I don't even know. It didn't, those types of details, it did not matter because I'm the type, as long as I have the foundation and I put myself there, the right things are going to come if I'm open to it. The right things are going to present themselves. The opportunities will present themselves, i.e. even speaking to you, at this moment. I don't know who is actually going to hear this and be motivated to do something. And I'm going to say it again, do something. Don't just hear it and sit on it and be like, oh yeah, that was cool. No, do something. Do it, because once you do it, it'll change your life. It's separate from me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. It has absolutely nothing to do with Dr. Parks because we're on our own path. But your path, and for right now I'm talking to whoever's watching, your path is different and you got to do it. You got to be, do, and have it for you. You got to, because the gifts that I have are the gifts that I've given away. Your gifts, you have to give it away. Don't sit on it,
Don't sit on it at all. And I love this. And how can people get in contact with you? Because they're going to want to contact you.
Absolutely. I thought about that also. And because I am a commercial guy also,
Okay.
you can call me at 888
Oh,
808 7205. And there's a phone tree that you're going to go through. But when you hear it and it's going to say transfers, just leave me a message. And my email, you can email me, is mabdullah at V as in Victor, R as in Romeo, 20kilo.com. And I guarantee you, the first 50 people that actually reached out to me, I got something special for you. I'm gonna throw a little treat in there for you that as long as you qualify and you can pass a background check.
well, I'm glad you did say that because all different types of people watch it. So I think it's good. You got to, bottom
Yeah,
line.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are, because it's a federal situation, and I will send something to the federal firearms dealer where you live, and but you got to communicate with them. You got to talk to me. I had this motto when I was in law enforcement that is protection is all that you need. Then you call the right guy, because
Love that.
that's what we do. You just make sure that if there's a bump in the night, you can, do and protect yourself, But visit my website. I have a website. It's govcon20k.com. That's govcon20k.com. Please come visit. And now that I've actually said that, it reminds me that when I decided to look into firearms distribution and firearm sales, I started local. I started with my city, the state, They have contracts local, your local police department, your local. You don't have to move like $3 million or $30 million or $300 million worth of just the local police department down the street. They're gonna be your customer, and I just started doing that. I just made a circle around where I live, and I just started communicating and visiting all the local police stations and find out who's your purchase agent.
Mm.
How you doing? This is my name. Here's a T-shirt. Here's this. Here's some books. I gave them pens. I gave them little things, just to introduce myself to the purchasing agent, because they're people. They're people. I remember when I was on the job, they're just people. Guys came in all the time with stuff, and I would be like, I want that. Well, now I'm that guy. That's great.
And what's beautiful is it leads to sales. And most importantly, it's a relationship, and you're helping. There's a mission. Whatever it is that is being sold, it's connected to a mission.
Yes.
And so it's beautiful to do that and to take those steps, because 99% of the businesses are not doing that at all. So they're going to remember you. And especially now, oh, can I text you? Can I email you? There's nothing wrong with texting, emailing, not leaving a voice note or voice message. That's fine. But so for the people who do that, who send out mailers, who write letters, you stand out. So I think that's amazing.
I show up.
You do.
You got to show up, and that's a big part of it, because then they invite you to other things, because they may not be the plug, but they may lead you to the plug, and so you just got to get out there, you got to just go, get some swag on, a little something. It ain't got to be something crazy. Just throw a little something on, put a smile on your face, and just listen. You just go, and I just listen, and then people tell you what they need, and I just say, if I'm listening to what they're saying and they say this is their need, then I'm going to do what I can to satisfy that need, and I just go and introduce myself, and I start talking about their needs. It's not about me. It's about your needs. What do you need? When do you need it by? Why do you need it? Is that the only thing that you do need? Because I'm always looking for one thing that's going to lead to the next thing. Because it's not just, it may be, okay, yeah, we need farms, but we need this trailer. We really need the trailer to put what we have, the old stuff, inside the trailer so we can get new stuff, because we're running out of space. Oh, no problem. We take care of trailers also, So it's always expanding. And then I introduce them to my daughter, or then I bring my son, and they're charmers all by themselves. So they're introducing and they're establishing their relationships. And they were like, these people are pretty cool. No, this is a family, So it just works. It just really works. And it gives me an opportunity to take care of myself now, I'm, like I said, I've stepped back quite a bit. I enjoy it, but I know my limitations. My limitations is what you just saw me run downstairs and catch the FedEx guy.
Because we don't want you after surgery cutting down more trees.
No,
So just as good.
no, that tree is gone. That
We know the tree's gone, but we don't want you to find another project and nothing.
don't even touch. Don't even.
Okay, good. No change.
Yeah, my kids don't even allow me to touch the chainsaw.
Goodness gracious, I'm
I
glad.
think the heaviest thing I pick up right now is this pen.
Okay,
pen is.
good. Well,
I do a lot of per diem signing now. I do a lot of signature signing.
okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
This other stuff it freaked me out a little bit. So I'm grateful for that you are taking it easy. And one more time, will you please share your phone number and your website?
The website is www.gov, that's Gov, that's George Oscar Victor, Charlie Oscar November, 20kilo.com. The phone number, 888-808-7205. My email is m like my name, last name Abdullah, at victorromeo20kilo.com. And I tell you, you'll be glad you did. If you called me and you reach out to me, you're gonna be all right.
No, I love it.
You gotta do it though. If you don't do it, then you can't say,
I love it. And I am so grateful to you. And I know people will reach out. It's been such an honor. And y'all don't forget to winnerswaybook.com, winnerswaybook.com.
Oh my gosh. Do you know that book? Oh my gosh. Winter Ways, but I'm so happy that you said that. My children fought over that book. I was like, we just buy another one. They were marketing, just stop marketing the book. So they're passing it around. You must get the book. The book is such a key part. Winner's Way. You have got to participate. That is a part of participating. If there's a class, take it. Go VIP. You got to go VIP. There's nothing less than VIP. It's a different experience. It opens you up and it gives you that level of commitment. Get the book. The book is like Dr. Kizzy Parks talking to you in your ear. It is impactful. It's informative. It's quick. It's an easy read, but at the same time, it's empowering. That's what it was for me. When I read it a couple of times, but for me, it's empowering. You know that you know that you know.
Right.
And that's the level of satisfaction. When you know that you know that you know, who can knock you off your square?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
And I thank you again. And everybody like, subscribe, hit the notification button. And as always, everything is possible. Until next time.